be like, heritage.
Oh my god. Even.
God, I found that.
I want to cry.
That was the most cringe thing about the movie.
We didn't even watch that part of the movie.
Okay, looks like we started.
Welcome, friends.
We're friends who talk about Disney, not affiliated with Disney.
Say it anymore.
I know, but it feels like I have to now.
It's a thing.
It's a thing. It's a thing-a-ling, if you will.
I tried to phase out the thing. Anyways.
And you failed.
You guys start. I started almost every time.
So this week's episode, we watched The Luck of the Irish. Whoop, whoop.
Happy St. Patrick's Day, everyone.
I guess I'm wearing green.
The store had no. This is filmed before St. Patrick's Day, but will be released around St. Patrick's
No,
Day.
literally on St.
Oh,
Patrick's
on? Okay. Well, it's going to be released on St. Patrick's Day, so you're in a treat.
AKA right now for those watching.
Hi, St. Patty.
Except we're not in a treat because they did not have green cookies.
Sorry, y'all.
Fred Mayer dropped the ball on that one.
Yeah. Snack of the day, cookies.
And Ruffles and onion dip.
Just
And
for
why
me.
not?
Just, yeah. Anyway, so okay, so let's start with the big question. Have you guys ever watched this movie before?
Yes.
Yes.
No, I have not. I'll put it out there right now. This movie was very, very triggering for me. So I'll be talking about that trauma throughout this episode. I might cry. I have my emotional support stuffed animal with me today. This is Thumper from Bambi. It's a cuddly, so it's like super big. But I love him. So if you see me cuddling and crying this thing throughout the episode, that is why.
Cuddlies are like the best stuffed animal you can get. We got it off at the Disney store.
It's like my
We
favorite
love
thing.
it so much.
It's one of my favorite things I've ever purchased. Ever.
Anyways, Luck of the Irish is like the only St. Patrick's Day movie I can think of.
Okay, who wants to like explain the plot of this?
I was about to do that.
Okay.
It's about this guy, Kyle, who's like classic high school popular jock boy,
Basketball jock boy.
basketball jock boy, and he's like living his best life, super lucky.
Like it's a point that the movie calls out, like, oh my gosh, your luck is insane.
Like crazy lucky, finds like $10 on the street like every day. Like just a lot of like very obvious lucky things are happening to him. And
Makes every shot like literally like a 3-pointer or something from like the sideline.
like jumping for the ball, like it was crazy. And
My favorite one is he's like spacing, thinking about something else, and he's supposed to be taking a test, right? And so the bell rings, and he starts circling a bunch of random answers, and the teacher goes, "You know, I do dock points for like wrong guesses." And Kyle just kind of looks at him and shrugs, and the teacher's looking at him. He's like, "All of these are the correct answer."
Mm-hmm. And so, obviously, this kid has insane luck, and there's this gal at his school. I don't want to call them friends because they butt heads a lot throughout the whole.
They're like acquaintances.
Okay, it's the equivalent of like the stereotypical like he likes you type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's just like he's only doing that, like he's only being mean because he likes you.
I hate that trope.
But that's how she essentially acts.
But there's this girl, and she's like the head of what's called the Heritage Day.
Is her name Rebecca?
It's Bonnie.
Oh.
Yeah.
And
She's going down everyone's throat to get their heritage.
like she's bugging the hell out of this kid, and it's getting into his head. So he's trying to ask his family, "Where are we from?" And his family is hiding it. And I'm saying this now because I'm going to talk about this later. His family is very white.
Very, very white.
And his dad's just like, "We're from Cleveland." And like,
We're
obviously,
Americans.
we're Americans.
Broke.
But obviously, like, America is a nation of immigrants, all that stuff. And they're hiding something from him. And so,
And it's kind of obvious too. It's not like
and he knows the truth. And like, apparently his dad changed his last name only to eventually find out that they are Irish. And he goes, "Okay, why couldn't they tell me that they were Irish?" And stuff like that. And the mom's like talking about this immigrant stuff about when the Irish first came. we'll talk about that. And then he ends up going to this festival to learn more about being Irish.
And he has this lucky coin.
He does have this lucky coin.
His father told him to like bring his lucky coin in the game. So like he brings this coin with him everywhere essentially. It's like his little token.
Yeah, it's his little good luck charm. He has it since he was a baby, thought nothing of it. It's just what he's born every day was like.
It's a necklace, by the way.
Yes.
They did make it. They're like, it's a lucky coin. It's a necklace. It's like
It's a coin on a necklace.
And he goes to an Irish festival and then
yes.
he starts like Irish dancing and
like something is like some kind of trance or whatever I want to say. And then the next day
this meanie tasting.
has like this worst day of his life.
no one
Ends up finding out that then 2 days later from the festival that he is a leprechaun.
Yeah.
His mom is a leprechaun. He is half leprechaun, and that's the truth that they were really hiding.
And then homeboy starts shrinking.
He starts. His mom.
And mom is yay big.
Literally like yay big.
And oh my gosh, it's hilarious.
She has the toughest attitude for being.
And the story is that they're transformed into leprechauns because his lucky charm got stolen at that Irish festival. So the rest of the movie is them working to get that coin back, which is the leprechaun clan's luck. Because
The O'Reilly clan.
And the youngest person has to have that.
Because the youngest are always the luckiest. Am I right?
The young get all the luck.
That's a quote from the Grandpa movie.
Yes, and yeah. So
They go on this tangent, and then Bonnie has like an attitude of like, not everything is about luck.
yeah, it's
And she's like, we can do this without luck.
by working hard and making something of ourselves.
Because everything involves skill.
It's very cheesy,
Yes.
and I think we've talked about this plot of the movie. I can't ignore this.
Hold on. We're almost there. We're almost at the end.
It was a brief synopsis. We're gonna talk in depth about everything that happened in Little.
I just really wanted to point out that the main bad guy is actually one of my favorite characters from a TV show called Psych.
Yes.
Lysander is his name.
Yes, Detective Lysander from Psych is this
Big
fur-bearing leprechaun, which is like a gambling, thievery leprechaun. And he is the entity who stole the coin and ends up challenging Kyle to like these games to
These
like
sports.
win. They're Irish sports, don't you?
And then he makes another deal, and that involves basketball. And then
Yes,
What?
all to try and get the luck back and save his grandfather from being a leprechaun slave. And all that stuff.
I just want to say the whole reason Sean got me to watch this movie, and he's like, "Do you remember Psych?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Do you remember the really mean detective?" And I was like, "What?" And he's like, "That one guy."
I
I was
always
like,
call him Detective Douche because that's what Lucifer from the show Lucifer calls one of the detectives. I just call him Detective Douche from Psych.
"Oh my gosh!" So it was like, "Oh my gosh, Lysanders in this movie? Well, I have to watch it." Yeah.
But okay, sorry.
So do we talk about heritage first, or do we talk about the really weird way they treat the Irish?
go on your tangent first, and then we'll go on those tangents.
So my tangent has to do with the way they were talking about the Irish people, because they knew what they were doing when they wrote this movie, because you can guess what I'm about to say.
Highlighting stereotypes.
They highlight stereotypes about how badly the Irish were treated when they first came, and like signs in the window of jobs like "No Irish need apply" and stuff like obviously very
Things that did happen.
I don't know the right word discriminatory
Yeah.
towards Irish people, and at one point when they're at this low point in the movie and Bonnie's giving her like, "You guys can do this. You don't need luck to do all of this stuff." He goes, "The Irish weren't paid very well." And Russell, who's the best friend of Kyle, who is, he's black, and makes the offhand comment like, "Well, at least they got paid." I didn't make that connection when I heard that comment as a kid. I thought I was like, "Yeah, at least they were paid for being Irish." I didn't make the connection of oh yeah, how horribly this country treated like blacks and African Americans.
This leads me on to where's your heritage?
Oh no, I'm being critical at this point right now
Oh, it's like this is not over. I know it.
because like I can see this being how they could have done this story in a fun St. Patrick's Day kind of way, but it was like a step down conversation of like trying to start talking about race without talking about race and having it focus on white people. Like you see that through the whole movie, like the discrimination of like, oh, a leprechaun can't marry a non-leprechaun. How dare you? Oh, the way the Irish were treated when they first came to America, it's like,
And
was that the worst?
hey, for all of our Irish viewers listening, we are not discrediting the pain of your people who came to America. Those were awful things.
Yes, it was true. The Irish went through did have issues.
We support our Irish brethren in America. We're Americans, so like we're not discriminating against you. It felt like a very like
it was backhand. It felt like a backhand.
Very backhanded and like very weird way to address like the pain that this group of people went through, and it did settle.
Especially with the comment that Russell made, like at least they got paid. Well, it's like, see who didn't work and didn't get paid. Oh shit.
Yeah.
Like it was stuff like that where like they were kind of like self-aware, and it didn't sit well with me at all watching through this movie. But anyways, what was your thing?
What's your heritage?
Do you want to do that? Okay. Let's address the elephant in the room.
Hey, hi. Hello, my name is Megan, and I am adopted. And you might be like, Megan, what does that even mean? It means I don't know my heritage. Straight up, it's a question mark. I went to the doctor the other day, and they were asking me a bunch of like health questions. They're like, did your family have like type 2 diabetes? And I'm like, I have no idea. And they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, I'm adopted. So literally, I have no family history. I kind of just poofed into existence one day, and I have no idea. You could literally ask me most questions, and I have no idea what happened.
Now I will go on a second tangent about this. I only know one half of my family. And I was like, and this is like the issue that I have, like I only know one half of my family's medical history and the heritage. And I also joke with my friends, I think I've made this joke with you a few times, and other people, that quite literally my family is probably the worst part of American history.
Yeah, you have made that joke with me.
Yeah, because like my grandmother, that side of the family originates from Kentucky, and then my grandfather's side is the Cherokee tribe with we're German on that side as well. And my father, no clue. Never met the dude. All I know is he's dead, and he's Scottish from what I understand. But in terms of that, I know nothing about the medical history. So I relate to Megan on that part of I don't know.
Oh my gosh. Did you ever have to do a heritage project?
No.
I have this deep traumatic story.
We did do like kind of it was called Native American Day. So every 2 years on the res, we had Native American Heritage Day, which was out on the football field, and you got to choose like 5 activities you wanted to do for the entire day. So one of them, you got to like do, the ones that I chose was like beating your own earrings, taking buffalo hide and sewing them, and then putting lavender in and creating like it's essentially kind of like a healing pouch almost. There's also basket weaving, so they're very cool things. And then tacos. Fry bread and tacos. Bruh. It's the spot.
You and food.
Where does food at?
So I didn't have to do a heritage project at all. However, I mean, I don't know how to address this because I do both sides.
That's fine. Listen, as someone who doesn't know my heritage, I am very, very happy for those who do. But let me take you back to 6th grade Megan, because this is why it actually like traumatizes me. We've talked a little bit, and we've implied that I don't have a really good history with my adopted family. My birth family is like another story. I don't really want to get into that. But in the 6th grade, it was required for every single child to basically do a presentation about where their family comes from. So as a child, I was actually very good at school. And so usually I would come home with this document and be like, hey, this is what we're doing at school, and I need your help. And my mom was the one who would help me with these projects. So it became a huge thing where we would talk about, like, where's your family from? Oh my gosh, I'm from Germany. Where's your family from? Oh my god, mine is from Europe, or whatever. And so being an adopted kid, I went up to my mom and I was like, hey mom, where am I from? And she's like, oh, I don't know. We'll just steal my heritage. You can use it for your project. And so I remember every day coming home to dread it. And so I would like purposely be like, oh, it's due in like 2 months. Yeah, so this is what I remember. Everyone was talking about it at school, and one day I had a breakdown in the guidance counselor's office, and I was like, I don't know where I'm from, and I feel like I'm not a human anymore because everyone was talking about it. And unless I wanted to do like hundreds of dollars worth of blood tests, I couldn't find that stuff out. And so we made this joke that I used for a long time as a 6th grader until like high school. That I was like, oh, I'm from Legoland, because I just happened to come back from a trip in California where I went to Legoland. And so I was like, oh, I'm a Legolandian. But when the day of the presentation came, I had to like literally, I went through my mom's family history because she forced me to do this in like 24 hours. Where, I don't know, there was like some German pilot or something. I don't really remember. I kind of blocked it out of my memory. But we had to like make food that's from that place. So one of my good friends was from Germany, and he made something delicious. I think it was like, actually I have no memory. I just remember eating a bunch of food and being like, this all tastes awful. I think it's 6th graders can't cook. And then I remember giving my presentation, and I remember standing there in front of the entire class and being like, I do not actually know where my family's from. This is my mom's family heritage. You may read my board. Here is food that is from my mom's. Please don't ask me any questions. And just dead staring, like, I don't want to answer any questions. Please do not ask me any questions. I'm going to go sit down. And the thing was, you're supposed, like, everyone was supposed to ask like one question about your heritage, and I refused to take any questions. I refused to. I was like, nope, I'm done. I ended up writing about this topic 4 different times for schoolwork, by the way. And every teacher who got this back was like, shh, I've totally done a heritage project with an adopted kingdom in class, and I didn't think anything of it, and they probably felt like awful people.
Good.
This is where I feel.
I'm not done.
Oh, keep going.
I'm sorry. Like, this is like, I'm not. Let me just outpour my trauma now, so I'm not gonna be a crying now.
Trauma explaining, not trauma dumping.
You're right. I'm trauma explaining. So this is like a problem I have every once in a while, where every once in a while I'll come across something and be like, oh my gosh, it's super cool. Like a few years ago, I went to Washington, D.C., one of the coolest places in the world, even though it's super politically charged. And we went to this museum that was dedicated to the Revolutionary War, like what it looked like during that time. And they had like literal library dedicated to like every person who was in there. And so if you had a name that could be confirmed to be in the Revolutionary War, you were like a part of like this like group of people who like protected their history. And so I was calling my mom up, like, Mom, this was so cool, and I wish I knew. Like, I wish I had like some like connections to like who my ancestors were, because I kind of want to know every once in a while. Like, it's not something I think about often, but it's enough that I'm like, oh, I wish I knew. And my mom's like, you don't need that history. You have my family. My family loves you, and our family loves you. And I was like, no, that's not. Like, yes, I was very happy at the time to have that love and support, but that wasn't what I was asking. It was like, literally, where did I come from? Did I get born? Like, where was I born? It was in America. Where like, did I come from Ireland? Was I French? Like, were my ancestors French? Like, did they do something incredible that I don't know about? So watching movies about heritage and talking about it makes me kind of want to vomit, because it feels like a conversation that I'm not allowed to have. And I know that's stupid, but like when you don't know that history, you don't know Tessa. It's just like a really awkward, like everyone, like it's like sitting in school specifically, and it's like, oh my gosh, I had a family crest, and you're just sitting there like, that's great. But I don't have anything similar. And people that you like, you're crazy. I don't know. I'm rambling now.
Well, okay.
I was gonna say this is where this movie doesn't age well.
Hold on a second. First off, we appreciate you for being with us in this episode.
Yeah, I
know that this is a hard topic for you.
I low-key was debating whether or not I should be in this episode or not. But I know the last time I wasn't in an episode,
We died.
I literally was like, I'm not going to get into another beauty pageant. By the way, if we reach 1,000, 150, wait,
150 followers
subscribers on YouTube,
by April 1st.
we will do a beauty pageant where I am in a dress.
Yes.
If we get to 100, we will do a beauty pageant, but you won't get me in a dress.
Yeah. So get to 150 so we can see him in a dress.
I got the figure for it. You got to see it.
I
So-
don't sexy.
anyway, well,
We're happy that you're here with us.
Thank
talking
you.
About this.
I almost wasn't here for this episode.
Because you said that it felt like a forbidden conversation. That reminded me of a conversation I once had with my father.
Oh no.
Now, like I said, I have both my parents. I can find out where my family comes from. And for a small period of time I was trying to. And I do know what my stuff is. I'm not gonna talk about it right now. But my dad used to get so pissed off with me for trying to find out. And I, to this day, still don't fully get why. I have my own theories.
But hey, that's just a theory, a heritage theory. Thanks for coming in. Sorry.
We're huge game theory fans. Love you, Matt Pap.
Love you, man. We're gonna miss you.
But, like, my dad used to get so pissed at me because we'd be, like, using Ancestry.com or whatever, like, and I'm like, why are you so angry at me just tracking our family tree? Like I relate to, like, the forbidden conversation because my dad used to get so pissed and my mom would try and get pissed about it, and I'm like, what's the issue here?
My family never knew how to comprehend it because recently though, my grandma did give me a tube, like yay big, you know,
Like
a
very
big
long
tube.
tube.
Yeah, and then there's like all these papers rolled inside that explain the whole side of my grandma's side of the family, and I think some of the Dutchell side of the family as well. I need a double look, but most of it is my family from Kentucky. The one where there's plantation farm. Literally, I joke that my family's from the worst part of American history. It's okay, but and then there's the other part where my family doesn't like. They're willing to give me my family history as much as they can, but then there's always the other side of my father because I've never met him and he's dead. And I've never met my brothers from his other lineage of children. My father also died in his 70s, though he died of an old age. And my family just doesn't understand that, like, I want to know my father's lineage.
Without knowing your father.
Here's the thing is I always wanted to meet my father, too.
You're right.
And so my family's just like, well, you're a part of our family. And I'm like, yeah, I get that. But, like, also the other thing is, like, my family is so, like, every Christmas, like, all my aunts and uncles, like, it's a very mixed family. So, like, my grandma and my mom, and so my grandma and grandpa, when they were married, had my mom, then they divorced, then my grandma married someone else. He had 5 kids from a previous marriage, and then my other grandpa married someone else, and she had another kid from a previous marriage. So, like, my family's just weirdly so mixed, and, like, it's great, you know, we have a great time. Things have worked out pretty well in that sense, but then my family just doesn't understand why I want to try and know my father's side of the family. And then I also reached the part of the fact of Like I remember one Christmas I said I was like really grateful to have a family that loves me even though I'm not related to them by blood. And my family's just like, I don't understand how you could feel that way, you know? And it's just like, that's the thing that this movie kind of makes me hate. It's just like, I also had a few projects like Megan's where I had to bring up family heritage. And I had my mom's side, so I was able to bring that up. But I never brought up my father's side. And they're like, what about your father? I'm like, don't ask me about it. Yeah, and that's where I think this movie does not age well at all. Because I don't think that these things should necessarily be addressed in school like that. Because it's
getting a lot harder given a lot of different family types. And, you know, like...
Also, like, what about a lesbian family? Like,
or like, yeah, I was like thinking through family structures. Like, there are people who are adopted by LGBT community members. There are people who are like in the foster system. That's already like hard. You want to ask about like people that like harmed you.
Like I kind of appreciated the one thing I appreciated out of living on a reservation was like learning Native American culture the way that they did it. By like we started off Native American Day with tribal members singing, and then we had like a little powwow that would go on. Like it was a full on what you would expect to see at a powwow, except they just added in more things of like learning how to actually make things, and like you could also learn about like how they do hunting and fishing and things like that. Like that's one thing I appreciated out of the res was like learning heritage. Not about your family, but like in a fun way of different families.
Yeah.
Learning about other people,
like a generalization of a culture.
Learning other cultures, yeah.
I
think that's more fitting and more appropriate.
I 100% agree. I was talking to you about this the other day, or maybe I was talking to myself about it. I have a lot of weird conversations with myself. It's an ADHD thing. Don't worry about it. Right now I'm really into like C/K/J/T dramas, which is basically like
Asian dramas.
And so one that has always been my favorite is this one called Meteor Garden. And it's one based in China. And it's so good. It's on Netflix. I recommend, but also look up the trigger warnings because like they get intense. They get really intense. But no, I'm relearning about these like Asian places that they're like beautiful. They're beautiful because when I think of Asian countries, I think of like China, and then I think of smog, and then wearing masks, and everyone's sick and old. And I feel so bad, but like when I like in my past when I had to think about China, it was literally like we'd be sitting watching like news at school, and like that would be like the like thing that was showing. Like that was like the visual that they gave us. So when I thought of China, I thought smoke. When I thought of Germany, I thought people who are really sad about their past mistakes. When I thought of Canada, I just thought wilderness ?
Hey. My sister's Canadian.
Let's see. When I thought of like England, it was just a bunch of people drinking tea ? Also, there is like a monarchy ? Look.
And then Russia, people who
really like snow ?
And drink lots of vodka and do the Russian dance off of.
So basically, what I thought of Russia was Rasputin and lots of snow. That's it.
I just thought of Rasputin and vodka.
Like that was like I knew like what they did in history to America, and then question marks, so like random things I gathered over my years of living. And so I think it would be really cool if in schools they are like, okay, listen, we know that you know Russia from Rasputin, but like let me tell you a little bit about Russian culture. Just like a debrief of like this is what their family structure looks like. This is like what it looks like.
Take a trip to Epcot and travel the world. Okay, I gotta say that was like one thing I loved was like as you traveled the world, they had like theaters essentially in every little section that you could watch something about that heritage, and like it was so cool.
I think instead of like doing like heritages, like what's your heritage of like we're gonna assign a group of people, like we're gonna study Germany. You guys go study Germany. It doesn't matter who you are, but like
Germany.
we did this for in my history class, not for like the different like countries, but we did for different like every time we came out a decade, each of us was like picked to do like what was the pop culture in the 20s? What was like the music back then? What were people listening to? Were there any movies that were out back then? Like who were like the big celebrities?
I took African American literature in high school, which was also an Eastern course. That one was, for it being a literature course, it was also like kind of like a history course. Loved it. That was like one of the best classes I've ever taken.
You see, I'm so jealous because I took like a course in college, which was very similar. It was about like Africa and colonization, and I hated that class. Not because like it was just like it was about a bunch of white people going into Africa and being like everyone's a monkey, and me being like, no. They described them as monkeys. They're not monkeys. They weren't cool people, and they just like the white colonizers, and then everyone else had two different ways of looking at each other and having their life experiences, and one wasn't necessarily wrong and one wasn't necessarily right, but that's how like the books viewed it, and it made me want to vomit.
Well, the fun thing like about African American literature was we were reading literature artwork from African American history throughout the years. So like those who were slaves and had become literate, like reading their work, and then going in through different eras of America and seeing it from their perspective. And I would very cool.
Very cool.
And very interesting. And like there's just so much to learn.
I feel like those are the classes that we really need. I know
And
there's
Sean's gonna go on a tangent, he needs to go.
No, you're good. Finish your thought.
Oh,
no, I was gonna say that like I feel like those are the classes that we really need because right now everyone's like the world is so divided. And I'm like, yes, and what are you gonna do about it? I feel like the best way to really bring people together is people are afraid of the unknown. And so to like give perspective of like
it teaches different perspective.
Mm-hmm.
to be like, oh yes, this is what the Irish were doing back in 1912. This is what the Native Americans were doing back in 1912.
Sorry, I gotta throw this in from our university, but goddamn a worldview.
Oh my god.
Or
The one thing I gotta appreciate about Court is that
it make you think about your own.
And also helped me master most of the things I needed for Core 250. Really made sure I knew everything I needed to going into History Christian 2.
it made you dive though into different people's perspectives for sure. Especially Core 350 for my group that I had. Our main thing was looking into rights for African Americans and LGBTQ and things like that.
Mine was about teaching kids.
But your tangent.
First off, I know this is a St. Patrick's Day episode, and we're talking a lot about heritage. Let me tell you, this was such a harsh focal point in the movie. It's not even funny.
Yeah, we're bringing it up because it was like every like 5 minutes they were just like, what about the heritage thing? What about the heritage thing?
Yeah, because Bonnie kept bringing up, like, your heritage project, your heritage project.
And let me tell you, I never wanted to punch someone so effing hard in the face.
So unbelievably annoying.
She is
And-
annoying.
Oh my god,
And so-
I literally look at Sean and it's like, I hate this character. And I don't hate a lot of people. I don't hate a lot of characters. But I was like, this
And like I see what she was trying to say about like we all know that person where it's like life has it easy, they have money, they don't have to deal with the same trouble everyone else does. Like we see that in college. You know, you have a rich white person that doesn't have to deal
You
with
saw
it.
that at our college.
We saw it in our college.
I'm not going to comment about that.
The people who have the money that can go to the college and don't have to get an on-campus job.
money.
Exactly.
I literally
We all-
knew someone in our freshman year, not your freshman year, who literally was bought a yacht, like a yacht for his birthday present. Didn't have like a driver's license for the water and voter's license or anything.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What major were they?
You're gonna
Yo.
laugh. You're gonna laugh.
Wait.
It was a family
What kind of major?
student.
What major? What?
Philosophy. So not even like a student that was like, I don't know, but not like someone who's gonna make a lot of money. Like I don't know, the people.
A lot of like the people in my major were all football players, and they're like, "Oh, I just got shit to away. Let's go buy beer."
Yeah, no, I knew her who got a yacht and then crashed it within the first 24 hours of using
Well,
it.
like,
What?
Yeah, and it was really great. I'll tell you the story later.
but no, so like we all know that person. It's like mommy, daddy's money. They don't have to go through the same struggles that a lot of people in middle and lower class America do. Same. And this Bonnie kept on basically trying to have these conversations of like, you didn't have to struggle. Everything gets handed to you. Blah blah blah. And it's like, he doesn't even know what the deal is. He hasn't known anything different. He didn't know he was a leprechaun, and she just became so annoying. Okay, hold on. You let her touch Thumper?
I'm fidgeting with the thinking again.
How do you think I feel?
The thing is, I usually wouldn't bother me, but like, if we break this, we'll have to get a new one.
But
That's why I'm playing with it lightly. I'm like, I'll lift it open and lightly slide it down.
but
As you struggle.
I know.
Moving on from the heritage conversation, as a St. Patrick's Day movie and the leprechaun parts of it, how was the movie for you guys? Putting the
I think I liked it better as a kid because like it was one of those movies that they threw on the Disney Channel when people did not subscribe to things, and it was just like one of those random Friday night movies that they had on Disney Channel, and I was like,
and you
yeah, I'll
and you
watch it.
and you would see it at St. Patrick's and oh yeah, that movie, the only St. Patrick's Day movie I know.
Oh.
Like
I don't know. Okay, so as someone who watched this yesterday, if they removed the Heritage Project and it was just boy and his leprechaun mom and grandfather going on adventures, I think it would have been way more enjoyable. I think that
yeah.
the plot with mom, grandpa, and then
the heritage.
See, as a kid,
I
I
don't
don't
know, I was
remember
about to talk
this
about, like,
whole
the-
heritage theme, and then I just remember like leprechauns.
Yeah.
That's all I remember as
Yes.
a kid.
The
Which is why I
Leprechaun is
liked
the
it.
cool part.
Yeah.
yeah, the leprechaun like bet and stuff like that, and like the like going against like the evil leprechaun, I think was like way more interesting than the heritage plot. Like if it was just like oh hey, we have a heritage project, mom, dad, what are we? I don't know, I don't want to tell you. Okay, well then this would be awkward, and then like they stumble into, oh by the way, I'm totally a leprechaun. Oh great, and then the whole rest of the adventure was like, oh okay.
Like they could have still gone with like the whole like school thing and just been like, yeah, I have really good luck all the time, and I don't know why. And then mom's like,
Well, actually, let me tell you why, but
or like they're like, oh, there's this leprechaun festival in town. Honestly, I think that's how I remember it as a kid too. It's just like, there's leprechaun festival in town. Let's go. And then they go to the leprechaun festival, and the dude's like, Snatch. And then he's like, my bad luck, why is he here?
yeah,
And then they go on this adventure, and then mom's like, oh, you're a leprechaun, by the way. And then they're like, oh, dang, I didn't realize that. That would have been a much better plot.
oh my gosh, yeah, I'm like already rewriting it in my brain. It is so much better.
I liked the humor. I won't lie.
There were some times in the movie where it's funny, but
They made some pretty funny jokes around the leprechaun subject. Like the mom, again, she ends up being like this tall. For reference, this is a mini Gatorade bottle. She's literally like this tall.
Grabs the keys.
who's going to grab
Literally,
the
she's like pissed off, thinking that the grandfather stole the coin. So she goes, like, she grabs the card keys.
And she has them like around her whole body.
Like they're huge compared to her. And she goes, we're gonna go shame him with what he's done. And grabs the key like she's gonna drive. Goes over to the door, is trying to reach the door handle from the floor.
And the husband's like, honey, I think I should drive.
And she just like rushes out. Doesn't say anything whether or not she's allowed to drive. But like,
That's what I do.
and like there was another joke later on with the grandfather. He starts playing like this flute or like you can think of like casual like Celtic flute music and stuff. And Bonnie's like, "Do you really have to do that?" And he just goes, "I'm Irish. That's how I manifest despair." And then cuts to Kyle dancing to the music.
And like very well too. It's really funny.
Like the Leprechaun humor was set up pretty funny.
Yeah, the humor was funny. I feel like the plot was tangled. I feel like the Heritage Project was too heavy. Like
the beginning part, the intro was also just kind of weird.
I was convinced
beginning
for
and
like
the
5
ending.
minutes
Yeah.
that I was watching a horror movie. And let me just tell you now, as viewers of this podcast who want to hear our opinions on this episode, Sean and I fast forwarded a lot of like the Heritage Project stuff.
To try and reduce the triggering.
The triggers, because I'm just highly emotional right now.
I was also upset with like how they portrayed Native Americans in that section, just because I grew up on a reservation.
They
and
did.
I'm like, that they did the stereotypical Thanksgiving Native American white people pilgrim thing, and it's just like,
It feels like
the regalia that they were wearing is not portrayed accurately.
it felt like there wasn't love for the communities that they wanted to represent.
Yeah.
You know, like
Which goes back to like the question like what I brought up earlier about like how they were having these conversations around Irish people,
Okay.
white people.
I got it. I can perfectly describe how it feels to watch these interactions. It feels like, you know, that moment when you're supposed to be looking something up before a class and you have 10 minutes to figure out like what happened, like in a short amount of time. It literally feels like the writers at Disney were like, okay, listen, we're gonna have a movie. We're gonna have it about people from Ireland who moved to America. Okay, let's Google it. And so like an intern does like really like they go to Wikipedia, print out the article, and they're like, listen, the Irish had a hard time when they moved to America, and they're like, we're gonna use that. Anything past this like Wikipedia article? No. Leprechauns. You know, the Irish, they have leprechauns. They also had red hair. They also have these like 2 really weird traditions that we're gonna throw in the movie just to make the mom seem hysterical, to make her seem like she's going crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. So you know how we wanted to add a whole heritage thing? Just okay. Google just random pictures of like what Native Americans wear. That's it. The first one. Don't no more research needed. That's what it feels like.
For reference, the beginning and ending was this Heritage Festival. The beginning was Kyle having a nightmare about this Heritage Festival that the school was putting on, and the ending was the actual Heritage Festival. The opening was a close-up of people's eyes, and I mean only this section. It opened with a zooming out on an eye. It was creepy as all hell.
Okay, so for the people who are listening to this and can't see what Sean is doing,
It's literally just the eyes, like a spot above the nose.
so like where the eyebrows and the like right above where like
The
the
cheekbones.
cheekbone.
Yep.
And so
That's
you just
all.
saw them like blinking into the camera, and it was like going past. So a lot of different people.
Yep.
Um,
And then the ending was at the Heritage Festival, and Kyle did a step dance because, you know, he's a leprechaun, he's Irish and stuff. And then they do the most cringy thing ever in singing that one song of "This land is yours."
oh, I thought you guys sing Kumbaya.
This land is my land.
Which is like a fine song.
It's a fine song,
It was
but
just like a really weird.
it was a cringy ending. A very cringy ending.
I really only liked the part when they finally reached the factory and they're like on this whole spiel to actually go find the coin. I think that's the best part of the movie.
I think the best part of the movie was the sports.
Yeah, which is part of it.
I was gonna say the rainbow.
But then that was cool at the end of the rainbow.
They see this. It's raining and stuff, and a rainbow comes up, and they're trying to find the gold coin. And so they're like, maybe make a joke of like, oh, maybe we should go to the end of the rainbow to find a pot of gold to get and that's where the coin is. And the grandfather was like looking at this rainbow, and all serious, like, ooh, a rainbow. There's gonna be a pot of gold. They start racing after it, and Russell's trying to be all scientific. I'm like, it's just light refracted in water. There's no. And he goes, and the grandfather is like, do you want to be a scientist? He goes, I hope you're something. Oh, well, I'm a leprechaun. Don't go telling me about rainbows.
Okay,
The grandfather also in the ending like the game when he's like sitting on the post the entire time.
Mm-mm.
That part was pretty funny. He was just like, "Don't tell him the coin is fake."
Yeah. But like,
Because a man who believes in a leprechaun will believe in anything. That's a quote from the movie.
yeah, he literally maybe believes in leprechauns will believe in anything,
Okay, friends.
even though they are leprechauns. But
I think we have hit our time.
we are right around our time, so okay. Thumbs up or thumbs down? What rating do you give this movie?
Yeah.
Thumbs up, thumbs down?
I give double thumbs down and a sad face.
I gotta have to give it a.
Wah, wah.
Gotta give it a thumbs down.
It's okay. Much better as a kid.
Much better as a kid. It does not age.
When
well.
we
Makes me cry.
understand.
If you guys know of any other St. Patrick's Day Disney movies that for some reason aren't on Disney Plus, please tell us.
Or are on Disney Plus and we just don't know about it. Please put it in the comment section below. And we'll see y'all next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.